The Australian and state and territory government have released the first national skills plan developed under the 5-year National Skills Agreement. It sets out the Australian and state and territory governments' national approach to delivering Australia's skills needs for individuals, industry, and community. Vocational education and training is a vital pathway for Australians to gain the skills they need to obtain secure and well paid jobs. Australia is experiencing many critical workforce shortages across a number of key industries. VET is central to addressing these shortages and ensuring all Australians can meaningfully participate in the economy. The National Skills Plan provides a framework for all governments to meet agreed outcomes and deliver on national priorities. It has been developed in collaboration with state and territories and informed by engagement and consultation the consultation with First Nations representatives and tripartite bodies. Jobs and Skills Australia and Jobs and Skills Councils. All jurisdictions, including the Commonwealth, developed their all predictions, including the Commonwealth, will develop their own jurisdiction action plans that provide their specific action that contribute to achieving the national outcomes and priorities. Releasing the National Skills Plan is an important step in progressing the joint stewardship model for the national VET system. The National Skills Plan identifies the drivers of change focus areas and early actions for the national priorities in the National Skills Agreement. The national priorities are gender equality, closing the gap, supporting the net zero transformation, sustaining essential care services, developing Australia's sovereign capability and food security, ensuring Australia's digital and technology capability, delivering housing supply, delivering reforms to improve the regulation of VET, qualification and quality. The National Skills Plan is not a set and forget plan. Recognizing change takes time and priority shift. It sets the direction for the first stage of action for the National Skills Agreement and will build on what is working well and respond to new needs. The plan will be reviewed on an annual basis with later plans reflecting evidence and stakeholder feedback on progress against outcomes and priorities, gaps in achievement, and new and emerging circumstances to be addressed. National Skills Plan. The National Skills Plan outlines skills ministers' vision for the national vocational education and training system and the approach to achieving the shared goals of the National Skills Agreement. The inaugural National Skills Plan is a key milestone milestone for skills ministers under the National Skills Agreement that communicates skills minister shared vision for the VET system and how governments will work together to deliver on shared outcomes and priorities. Number two, provide directions for industry, employers, and the VET sector to help align efforts towards the same objectives. Third, details planned initiatives to strengthen the VET system, architectures, and workforce better meet the needs of students and industry and address cross cutting and industry specific national priorities. Fourth, identifies early action to address national priorities and agreed outcomes as well as an overview of key milestone over the period of the National Skills Agreement. Fifth, communicates how governments will work collaboratively and provides a base for further engagement with stakeholders. The National Skills Plan supports shared stewardship of the VET system, a new focus on collaboration, planning, and evidence based reform, with all government working in partnership to deliver a responsive skill and training system. The first National Skills Plan is the start of the planning process over the 5 years of the National Skills Agreement. The Commonwealth states and territories will also produce individual jurisdictional action plan that details the action each government will take to deliver on the National Skills Plan and National Skills Agreement. There will be published beginning in November 2024. The National Skills Plan and Jurisdiction Action Plan will be updated through an annual review cycle that consider new evidence, including the effectiveness of the initiative in this plan, data on progress against outcomes, and possible shifts in national priorities. About the Skills and Workforce Ministerial Council. The Skills and Workforce Ministerial Council consists of portfolio ministers with responsibilities for skills and training in their jurisdiction, including the Commonwealth Minister for Skills and Training as the chair. It provides a forum for national cooperation and stewardship across the vocational education and training system. And on the intersection of skills and training policy with workforce issues, the Council collaboratively progresses items of national importance within the portfolio to achieve agreed objectives, outcomes, and priorities, including those set out in the National Skills Agreement. Skills Minister consideration are informed by data and evidence and input from partners and experts, including First Nations people, key VET bodies, and across portfolios. SWMC reports to National Cabinet on their progress to deliver tasked priorities in addition to reporting annually on delivery of its work plan. Skills and Workforce Ministerial Council communique. The Skills and Workforce Ministerial Council provides a forum for national cooperation and stewardship across the vocational education and training system. And on the intersection of skills and training policy with workforce issues, the Council collaboratively progresses items of national importance within the portfolio to achieve agreed objectives and priorities. Australia is undergoing a significant transformation in vocational education and training, with the Australian government delivering the National Skills Agreement, a 5 year joint agreement between the Commonwealth and states and territories to strengthen the VET sector, commenced on 1 January 2024. The agreement will transform the national VET system, ensuring it provides high quality, responsive, and accessible education and training to boost productivity. Support Australians to future proof their careers by obtaining the skills and capabilities they need to obtain well paid, secure jobs and support our economy. Ensure Australia as the skilled workforce it needs now and into the future by returning TAFE to the heart of the VET sector. The landmark agreement provides states and territories with access to additional Commonwealth funds of up to $3.7 trillion over 5 years. This takes total Commonwealth investment in state and territory training system up to 12.6 billion over 5 years. The agreement also represents a fundamental shift in the way that governments work together to address shared challenges and capitalize on shared opportunities in the VET system. In an historic first, a new stewardship model will support governments to work collaboratively, and purposefully towards national priorities, while preserving flexibility to align local skills supply with demand. National priorities are areas government have agreed require focused effort to address critical skills and workforce shortage. The agreed national priorities are: number one, gender equality, closing the gap, supporting the net zero transformation, sustaining essential care services, developing Australia's surveillance capability and food security, ensuring Australia digital and technology capability, delivering housing supply, and delivering reforms to improve the regulation of VET qualification and quality. The agreement gives effect to National Cabinet's vision statement and guiding principles on longer term VET reform. The National Cabinet endorsed the agreement on 16 October 2023. National Skills Agreement Vision and Principles. The following vision statement and guiding principles for longer term vocational education and training reform under a new national skills agreement have been agreed by skills minister and endorsed by the national cabinet on 31st August 2022. Australia needs a VET sector that provides high quality, responsive and accessible education and training to boost productivity and support Australians to obtain the skills they need to participate and prosper in the modern economy. Recognizing the key role the VET sector plays in providing strong economic and social outcome for Australians. All governments commit to working in partnership to negotiate a national skills agreement which uh, provides critical and emerging industries at a national, state, and local level with the skilled workers they need and secures a domestic workforce to deliver on current and future priorities. Second, sports training provides to deliver quality education and training with a modern and responsive TAFE at the heart of the VET sector, including by upgrading TAFE facilities, prioritizing wrap around sports for priority groups, supporting a quality teaching workforce, and strengthening collaboration with industry and unions. Third, ensure that all Australians, particularly women, First Nations Australians, young people, mature age Australians, those experiencing long term unemployment, people from culturally and linguistically diverse communities, people with disability, and regional and remote learners have access to the education, training, and support needed to obtain well paid, secure jobs. Fourth, ensure that no Australians are left behind as the Australian economy transition and adapts to structural change, including by providing opportunities for lifelong learning and foundation skills development. Fifth, sports informed decision making for students, workers, employees, employers, and governments through schools and labor market analysis informed by jobs and skills. Australia access to relevant career information and improved transparency. Sixth, pursues greater national consistency where beneficial to ensure access, equity, and transparency while providing states and territories with appropriate flexibility and autonomy to deliver national, state, territory priorities is clear and simple and reflects genuine tripartite engagement with sector on reform. National Skills Agreement Outcomes Framework. The Outcomes Framework Bill track progress of the VET sector against the 9 outcomes identified in the National Skills Agreement. This outcomes framework is the first of its kind for the VET sector and will increase the ability of governments to track, monitor, and respond to changes over the life of the NSA. It will also help to guide strategic conversation between governments on the health of the VET system and progress in achieving the outcomes and national priorities. More broadly, the outcomes framework will support governments to work together to address shared challenges and to capitalize on shared opportunities. This will ensure that the VET system continues to deliver positive outcomes for Australian students through providing pathways to secure, well paid work while building the skills Australia needs now and into the future. The outcomes framework will track progress against the 9 outcomes identified in the National Skills Agreement through several measures and indicators. Indicators, measures, and targets will be reviewed annually and may be revised over the life of the NSA to ensure they remain relevant and include all community groups or where data availability for indicators or measure changes. Future iteration may also track data for additional identified equity priority groups and engagement with stakeholders will continue throughout the life of the NSA. Governments will continue working together through a joint stewardship model. Stewardship describes the intentional collaboration between governments and with stakeholders. It will be guided by the shared vision for the sector and be implemented through agreed outcomes and national priorities. Over 2025, governments are committed to working with First Nations partners to ensure that the views of the First Nation communities are meaningfully included in the outcomes framework, and that the indicators, measures, and targets measures that is relevant to these communities. TAFE Centers of Excellence. Through the National Skills Agreement for Australian Government has partnered with the states and territories to establish national networked TAFE Centers of Excellence to help deliver a skilled workforce for strategically important industries to meet national challenges. TAFE Centers of Excellence will increase collaboration between TAFEs through partnership with employers, unions, universities, and other stakeholders and deliver the skills people need for good, secure work and careers. National Foundation Skills Strategy 2025 to 2035. The National Foundation Skills Strategy 2025 to 2035 sets a shared direction for Commonwealth, state, and territory governments for adult foundation skills nationally over the decades of 2025 2025 to 2035 and reflects skills minister shared commitment to build foundation skills levels among Australian adults. As part of the National Skills Agreement, Commonwealth, state, and territory governments agreed to work together to develop a national foundation skills strategy to strengthen the foundation skills sector. The strategies outlines agreed areas of national focus against which governments will align their priorities and actions. The strategies will be delivered through an action plan to be agreed and funded through decisions of the Skills and Workforce Ministerial Council. Funding of $53 million is available under the National Skills Agreement to support activities. Jurisdiction action plans. The Australian government and each state and territory is publishing a jurisdictional action plan to detail our actions and ambitions to deliver on the outcomes and priorities of the National Skills Plan and National Skills Agreement. Jurisdictional action plan are a key component of the stewardship framework established by the NSA and build on the commitments outlined in the National Skills Plan. Together, the jurisdictional action plan provide a clear picture of the individual and shared action being taken to deliver on the objectives, outcome, and national priorities of the NSA. This will help vocational education and training stakeholders engage with initiatives and prioritize their own efforts to ensure we are all driving in the same direction. The plan the plans are also the starting point for conversation and shared effort to drive improvement through a new annual cycle of evaluation and planning. The Australian government's jurisdictional action plan. Number one provides information on Australian government investment, action, program, and ambitions to advance the goals of the NSA and the National Skills Plan. Explains how the Australian government will address national priorities and deliver on outcomes. Third, supports shared stewardship, transparency, and accountability. Fourth, establishes an annual cycle of planning and review with future iterations to be informed by stakeholders' engagement and evidence based evaluation. Thank you. Please subscribe, like, and comment.